Falling in love for the first time is an experience like no other. A whirlwind of emotions sweep you off your feet and fill your heart with an exhilarating mix of joy, anticipation, and wonder. It's a time when the world seems brighter. Every song on the radio feels like it was written just for you, and even the simplest moments become magical. The intensity of these newfound feelings can be overwhelming, yet they also bring a sense of profound connection and discovery as you navigate the complexities of affection, vulnerability, and trust. This tender phase of life is often marked by a beautiful blend of innocence and passion, where every shared glance and whispered secret holds the promise of endless possibilities. We've all been there. Young and naive, falling in love for the first time, thinking it's forever. For 15-year-old Summer Cook, meeting Will Inman at a church picnic stoked the flames of young love. The young pair started dating, and 3 years later, when Summer was 18, they married. Summer thought she hit the jackpot with Will. He doted over her, making her feel so loved and special. He came from a Christian family, his father heavily involved in the building of the church and playing guitar at Sunday service. Will's mother was very kind and attentive to Summer, making joining their family seem like a young girl's dream come true. For a while, life couldn't be more perfect, but unfortunately, Summer didn't realize she had just married into a nest of dangerous narcissists. Will, his father, and his mother love-bombed the hell out of Summer, entrapping her in their web. Soon enough, she became a piece of property to them. They took away her freedom and dignity and chipped away at her soul. As time went on, their masks fell off, revealing the rot and ugliness they hid from everyone, pretending to be this loving Christian family. They were nothing of the sort. When Summer realized who they really were, she tried to get away and free herself from the hell she was living in. But Will and his family couldn't have that. They weren't about to let her go. Summer was never able to completely escape. They made sure of it. The world was about to find out who Will and his family really were too. When Summer goes missing and her body is later discovered decomposing in the church septic tank. This is the tragic story of Summer Dawn Cook. How on earth does a young mother just starting out in life end up discarded like trash in a church septic tank? To answer that, we need to go back to the beginning. Summer Dawn Cook was born and raised in Logan, Ohio, a charming small American town. Summer had natural beauty inside and out and was described as a kind and genuine person. When she was 15, she met Will Inman at a church picnic. They started dating soon after and married 3 years later in 2004. Will's parents helped them buy a house on the same street as them, which I find a bit creepy, and knowing how this story ends is definitely a huge red flag. For a while, Summer and Will were happy and thriving as a couple. Summer ended up giving birth to 3 children, 1 son and 2 daughters. Summer loved being a mom, but 3 little ones isn't always easy, so at the time it was convenient having Will's parents close by. They helped with the kids often and formed a close bond with all 3 of them. Will was the only son to his parents, Sandra and William Sr. For the sake of this video, I'm going to call William Sr. Bill so we don't get confused. Bill and Sandra were extremely religious and raised Will to be the same. By extreme, I mean Bill twisted the Bible in an evil way to justify his need to feed the narcissistic beast within him. He was heavily involved in church and at one point had his ministry license, but it was revoked for unknown reasons. Since Bill couldn't officially run a church, he decided he wanted to start a nonprofit called Mercy Ranch, where he would minister to the most vulnerable, orphans, widows, and the homeless. Part of his ministry was to build homes for those in need. Bill had a lot of experience in construction, so he would be more than able to facilitate the project. To raise money for the effort, Bill sold raffle tickets for $10 apiece, with the top prize being a brand new home. Bill he stole over $200,000 from trusting, unsuspecting people. He never built any of the promised homes for those in need, and no prizes were awarded. To make things even worse, not one raffle ticket was refunded. So yeah, he stole over $200,000. Now you think he would have been held accountable for this fraud, but I couldn't find anywhere that he was. That is unbelievable and disgusting. I hope that it's painting a picture for you or giving you a glimpse as to the kind of dirtbag Bill Inman is. And you better believe he taught his son well. Will espoused the same twisted mentality as his father, and in some ways worse. After giving birth to her children, it was becoming evident to Summer she may have made a huge mistake becoming entangled in this family. Will expected Summer to serve him in every way. He became increasingly controlling. Summer wasn't allowed to work outside the home, or even leave for that matter, without permission. If she did have to leave the home, she would be timed. Her every move was being watched by either Will or his parents. Will also made it clear that Summer was not allowed to go to bed at night, no matter how tired she was, unless he gave her permission. If Summer didn't do exactly what Will expected of her, he would become enraged and sometimes violent. Sandra, Will's mom, started acting up as well. She began taking ownership of Summer's children as if they were her own. In every way, Summer became controlled by Will and his parents. Having Bill and Sandra live so close went from being a nice convenience to a nightmare. If Summer or Will made any friends their own age, Bill and Sandra became jealous. They wanted Will, Summer, and their children to themselves and did not want to share them with anyone else. Summer was starting to feel ganged up on and bullied by Will and his parents, and it would only get worse. At one point, Will told Summer he wanted 12 children and more wives. He decided monogamy wasn't his thing anymore. He wanted to dive headfirst, no pun intended, into polygamy. He started going on dating sites to find another wife, with no care in the world as to how Summer felt about it. After years of living like the Inman family's indentured slave, Summer was over her marriage and thinking of some way she could get out from under these creeps. I think the polygamy bomb was it for Summer. She was disgusted by this and wanted no part of it. Will had threatened to take her out for good if she ever tried to leave him and take the kids, so she had a healthy amount of fear instilled in her. But one thing I love about Summer is she had a spunk about her and surprising inner strength after enduring 6 years of horrific treatment. She was tired, but determined to find a way out. Then comes Adam. Adam was a drifter going from town to town working odd jobs. Bill hired him to do odd jobs around the family's houses. Summer would see Adam from time to time, and at some point a spark developed between the two. This may have been the catalyst Summer needed to finally make her escape. She kept a diary. The following are excerpts giving us a glimpse into Summer's mindset at this time. I'm so tired of having to please everyone else, but leaving myself high and dry. Don't I deserve to be happy too? Don't I deserve to fall in love with someone again and feel love from someone again? I think so. I don't know if it's the right time to tell Will or not. I feel bad not telling him because I think he deserves to know the truth and to know that I don't want to be with him right now. I want to be alone for a while and find out who I am again. I'm just some slave that runs around and does as she's told. I love my kids with all my heart, and I wouldn't trade them for anything. But I don't want them to grow up remembering their mom as someone that just did as she was told. I just don't know how Will react to all of this. I don't know if he will get mad and try to take the kids and run, if he will threaten to hurt me, or worse yet, actually do it. All I want to do all day is cry and sleep. I just don't know how to get out of this situation and have it end well. Maybe by the next time I write, I'll have figured it out. Reading Summer's own words knocked the wind out of me. Reading about her despair, yet strength, wanting to change the situation and set an example for her kids is so commendable. I just want to give her a hug and help her. She's such a beautiful soul and didn't deserve any of this. In June of 2010, after 6 years living in the marriage from hell, our brave, beautiful Summer filed for divorce. After filing for divorce from Will, Summer and the children moved in with her parents, and she started dating Adam. She started working as a janitor for a local bank after hours and had even been planning to enroll in Hawking College's culinary arts program. Summer had a dream to open up her own restaurant. Although Summer was dealing with an ugly divorce, I can imagine the hope and excitement she had for her future. She probably felt like she had a shot at fulfilling her dreams for once, and not everyone else's. As you can imagine, Summer starting a new life and pursuing her dreams did not go over well with the Inmans. Summer and the kids were their property. They owned them. Summer leaving with the kids was absolutely unacceptable, and her dating Adam sent waves of fury through Will and his parents. The divorce became contentious, and a custody battle ensued. Summer wrote in an affidavit that Will would take her keys, phone, and wallet to keep her from leaving without his permission. She also stated that he took her 2 cats and dumped them in a field, painting a picture of a dangerous and toxic marriage. After the split, Will moved in with his parents, and as usual, Bill and Sandra, who know no boundaries, became heavily involved in the divorce. I'm sure they were all consumed with how they could get full custody of the kids, along with punishing Summer for leaving their precious Willie boy. Tensions were bubbling beneath the surface like a volcano about to blow, and when Summer posted a photo of her and Adam and the kids on Facebook, the Inmans blew their top. Bill Inman threatened Adam and eventually assaulted him. These creeps were now becoming dangerous. I know Summer was aware that Will and his family were controlling, threatening, and could be violent, but I don't think she completely grasped the extreme danger she was in. Most of you watching this video are probably well aware of the fact that when a woman leaves a narcissist, this can be one of the most dangerous times in her life. We see it over and over again. A woman tries to get out of a toxic relationship, she finally gets the strength to leave, and she ends up dead. According to statistics provided by the World Economic Forum, the latest figures show that 137 women across the world are killed every day by a partner. A total of 50,000 women a year are taken out by people they know and should be able to trust. Almost every time you turn on the news, you hear about another woman who met her demise at the hands of an ex-partner. It's a serious problem in our society, and not enough is being done to protect women. DV is not taken seriously enough. I know law enforcement states DV calls can be the most dangerous calls for them, but I also know many law enforcement officers don't take women's reports of DV seriously enough. Here in the US and probably many other countries, the laws are archaic and need to change. So many women report they are being stalked and harassed, and the offender just gets away with it until the victim ends up dead. Then everyone takes it seriously. But by then it's too late. Before Summer filed for divorce from Will, Bill and Sandra had been struggling financially. Bill was so fixated on trying to get his own church off the ground, he wasn't working much to pay the bills. He tried running a church from his garage for a time, but no one seemed to be too interested in joining. By the time Summer filed for divorce from Will, the Inmans were in serious financial trouble, which I am sure was a contributing factor to their instability. You have a bunch of egotistical morons running out of money. Bill can't get a church off the ground. Their son's marriage just fell apart, and they aren't seeing their grandkids. So the perfect image they needed to portray was falling apart at the seams. It got so bad for the Inmans, they were being forced out of their home due to non-payment. Some of Summer's things were still with the Inmans. Once she learned they were losing their home, she decided she wanted to go over there and collect some of her things left behind when she moved in with her parents. Summer asked law enforcement to accompany her to gather her things due to safety concerns. She also brought Adam along, and as you can imagine, that was like putting gasoline on a fire and did not go well. The following is video footage from a police cruiser at the scene.
The Inman world was spiraling out of control. Bill was losing the house. Willie and Summer were getting a divorce, and tempers were high.
Right now he's arguing with Summer, saying that, pretty much saying it was her fault. I never went into detail about it, but he was blaming her for, them being evicted from the home.
Summer was there at the house trying to get back some of her stuff. Deputy Kane says Summer's boyfriend showed up to help, and Bill didn't like it.
Well, he stands up and he goes, "Get off my property." Boy had just stepped out of the car, said he was going to shoot him. You see him turn towards the house like he was going to go get a gun. Then he starts walking towards him. I just try to stop him.
That's when things go from tense to violent.
And he tells me, "Don't you put your hands on me," he squares off with me. And I said, "Well, you're under arrest." And the second I grabbed his arm, he just started trying to rip away from me. And here we have to pretty much have our struggle for, I'd say it's probably 2 or 3 minute struggle.
After the struggle, Deputy Kane gets the upper hand, holding Bill Inman's arms, eventually aiming a taser at him, while his wife Sandra tries to barter.
Right now they're asking, can I just forget about it? And I said no. The second we went to the ground, I said, after all this, I said, maybe the incident right there where me and him, where he squared off, if he would have calmed down, it might have been a citation.
Instead, several charges, including resisting arrest. And Deputy Kane also got some insight into what he perceived as control issues and a power struggle from Summer herself.
She had advised that her and her husband, she couldn't stand the family. Said that every time her and her husband got in a fight or something, the father or the mother would be in there, telling them they need to get it straightened out, or they'd always get involved in it.
Well, it's pretty evident from that video footage the Inmans are walking time bombs, especially Bill. Their life as they knew it was unraveling, and of course none of it was their own fault. Oh no, it was all Summer's fault. She was a smart little cookie though, asking law enforcement to be present when she went to pick up her things. That was proven by Bill's unhinged behavior. But unfortunately, not enough was done to protect her, because 3 months after this incident, she would be dead at the hands of this evil family. On March 22nd, 2011, Summer went to work as usual cleaning the bank building after hours. Once she was done, she walked out back to throw away the trash and pulled out her phone to text Adam she would be on her way home. Before she could send the text, a white Crown Victoria sedan pulled up. 2 masked men jumped out, tased her, restrained her with zip ties, threw her in the car, and took off. Unbeknownst to the kidnappers, there were witnesses to the abduction. The witnesses happened to be out for an evening walk when they heard a blood-curdling scream and the sound of the taser. They saw the masked men grabbing Summer, ran over and tried to intervene, but were unsuccessful because the woman driving the car sprayed them with pepper spray. They immediately ran on foot to the police station to report what they saw. They described the car as a white Crown Victoria sedan and the driver as a blonde woman. At first, the witnesses were disappointed in the lack of concern by police. They felt like law enforcement didn't believe them. Masked men just don't abduct people in Logan. It's a small town with little crime. So I can see how law enforcement might think the witnesses could be possibly hallucinating. But once they received a call from Summer's family that she was missing, they put the pieces together. When Summer didn't show up at home after her shift and couldn't be reached by phone, her mother called police to report her missing. Her father drove down to the bank building to look for her. He ended up finding her iPod and other items near the trash bin. I can't imagine the horror and shock her dad must have felt when he saw Summer's things, but couldn't find his daughter anywhere. Summer's family's worst nightmare was unfolding. They had no idea they would never see her again, and her abduction was about to rip through national headlines. Summer's family had an idea who was behind this and told police about her issues with the Inman family. Police went to interview the Inmans. They said they were nowhere near the bank building in Logan. They were on their way to Cleveland. They were going there to look at homes. They said they had a GPS in their car and law enforcement could look through it and see the homes they had plugged into the GPS in Cleveland, which is over 200 miles away from Logan. Interestingly enough, the Inmans had a white Crown Victoria and Sandra had blonde hair. They forensically investigated the Inman's GPS and found some discrepancies. There were addresses in Cleveland plugged in, but the Inmans didn't drive to those addresses. They were just entered into the GPS. They also noticed some interesting stops. A tire shop and a car wash sparked their interest. Police went to the tire shop, showed workers there the Inman's photos, and asked if they recognized the three. One worker said he recognized Bill and stated he traded in the tires and rims on his Crown Vic for different rims and, interestingly enough, tires with a lower tread, meaning Bill traded in the tires on the Crown Vic for older tires, which really makes no sense. Why would you trade in your newer tires for older ones? No one does that. Police asked if the tire shop still had the tires Bill traded in, and unfortunately, because they were in such good condition, they resold them right away for cash, no receipt, or information on the buyer. Police wanted the tires in case they needed to match the tread pattern in the investigation. Police went to the media and had them ask the public for any information on the Inman's tires they traded in. They were hoping the buyer of the tires would come forward. The following is an interview with the tire shop employee that helped Bill Inman do the tire and rim swap.
Guy just showed us a picture of him. I said, hey, I know that guy.
The picture was of suspect William Inman Sr., and the FBI thinks he was here, 200 miles from home, the day after Summer disappeared.
I wondered how they found out that he was even here, and they said they were able to track him by his cell phone.
Rich Lenz said Inman came in and asked to swap out the wheels and tires on his car, something Rich does 40 times a day.
The reason he said was because he wanted to make his car a little more fancier. The wheels and tires that he bought from us were aluminum wheels.
This is the same type of car police say the Inmans were driving, a white 2003 Crown Victoria.
I found him a set of wheels off of another Crown Vic out there.
Joe Canterbury works in the back among thousands of car parts and tires and helped Inman search for the right fit.
He had a set of these right here. That's what he had on the car at the beginning.
Problem is, after he swapped the tires, it took only about 3 hours to resell the old ones in cash with no paper trail and with surveillance cameras that weren't rolling.
We just believe that possibly the reason they got rid of those tires and wheels because they didn't want anybody to find out about the vehicle and where they were.
It's kind of scary a little bit that somebody like a person like that might have harmed somebody or whatever he might have done, and he was in our place the whole time. We, you didn't think anything of it.
And the manager told me he was a little surprised at what Inman was doing because the tread on the tires he was swapping for, the tires were much better than the ones that he got from the auto parts store, but they just went ahead and made the deal. Again, though, those tires, that's what police are looking for. They said that's because the tires were so good, that's why they sold so quickly, only in about 3 hours. If you know anything about those tires, where they are at this point, it's a crucial piece of evidence in this case, and police ask that you call them.
It's not looking good for the Inman family. Police are onto them at this point for sure, and it's about to get worse. Remember I mentioned they also stopped at a car wash? Police were able to retrieve CCTV footage from the car wash showing Bill, Sandra, and Willie Boy deep cleaning the inside of the car. These morons did not think this through very well. So many criminals give themselves away, forgetting about surveillance cameras, phone pings, and internet searches. Deep cleaning your car almost 200 miles away from home on the way to look at houses is a little strange. Most people would probably clean their car before leaving for a trip, not on the way. Couple that with trading in your tires for older ones, a car matching the description of the one involved in your daughter-in-law's abduction, Sandra matching the description of the driver, a contentious divorce, and yeah, the Inmans were cooked. Police arrested all three of them, Will, Sandra, and Bill, for Summer's abduction. The news of their arrest sent shockwaves through the community and the country for that matter, not to mention their church community. The Inmans were good at portraying themselves as a wholesome Christian family, but as we are finding out, they were nothing but wolves in sheep's clothing. There was still a huge problem for Summer's family and law enforcement in this case. Summer was still missing. Police had a plan to try and get one of the three to tell them where she was. They were hoping one of them would crack under the pressure. They interviewed Bill with no luck. He was completely uncooperative. And Will was even worse, which isn't surprising. These two had egos that were so overblown. I'm sure they thought they were smarter than law enforcement and were going to get off scot-free. When they couldn't get anything out of those two clowns, they worked on Sandra. She wasn't doing too well being locked up. She was mentally breaking down. Through skill and patience, law enforcement was able to get Sandra to tell them where Summer was located. The following is footage from that interview with Sandra. Now, it's hard to hear her in this video, and the quality isn't the greatest, but you can hear the detective interviewing her, so you get a good overview of what's going on. I think this is a vital part of this story. We get to see Sandra interacting with law enforcement and what it took for her to give up the location of Summer.
Now, you're willing to talk to them, and basically, the agreement we have here is a plea bargain type deal. And it says that you will plead guilty to murder and kidnapping. And the state will recommend, and we talked about this is a recommendation from the state through the prosecutor's office. It's not exactly binding on the judge. If the judge goes along with these things routinely, that they will recommend 9 years on the murder charge and 3 years on the kidnapping. To be run consecutive for a total of 12 years. Here's the thing, that's what their recommendation is on you. They will also, the state will not pursue the death penalty against the co-defendants. Now, the co-defendants are your husband and your only child. Okay. And for you to carry out this deal, they want you to disclose the location of the victim, which is Summer, and the details of the crime, and testify truthfully against the co-defendant as permitted by law, as much as you know it. And this deal is dependent upon the confirmation of the location of the body and details of the crime. Which try to get her back.
I agree.
Okay, so tell me where she's at over there.
You're working for the city.
Yes, I do.
I don't see for the city. Where the trees come out.
Because there's a pond or something.
There's water right behind. That's where we thought about putting it there real quick, but that's what's thinking about that.
Okay, so there's 30. I'm an artist, so I'm not going to laugh at your artwork either. So it's right behind the church there.
Yeah.
Now, is there a pipe that she's inside of, anything like that?
No, it's a thing.
Like a cistern?
Yeah.
Lid that she would pop up? So it's like a cistern is like just a tank, and she's down inside the tank. When did you guys put her in there? The same night that
Yes.
Give me just 1 second. We'll make sure these guys can do what they need to do, and I'll hear it back, and we'll finish up. You're going to send them out. They're going to confirm the body's in there. Exactly. We've got a done deal.
Exactly. We want her out there.
Well, and I do too.
You too.
All right, I'll be right back. We'll just start at the very beginning. I know that Summer and you call it Willie, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I know they were having some marital issues and things.
Yes.
I think it was some custody issues coming up. And I don't know what the arrangements were on the kids and all that. I won't get into that. That's something that we can get later, I'm sure. We'll try to Whose idea was it to take her, to get her?
I think it was probably my idea more than anybody, because I kept on and on and on about, why won't she work with us? We're only asking for weekends. And I thought she used to work with us on weekends, and Willie loves him. And
so it was your idea to kidnap her? To grab her? Did you know when you kidnapped her that she was going to end up dead?
No. Oh, Lord, no.
Okay.
I thought I could talk to her.
Okay. So the whole thing was just to try to scare her, get some sense into her, and that's what.
Yeah. In my mind, whenever I wanted to go there, it made sense that, just talk to her. That whenever he got her in the thing, he had to Bill drove. Bill never touched her or nothing.
Well, now, wait a minute now. You mean when you guys
Whenever we drove out, yeah, we drove out. Bill helped her up in the car.
Okay, I was going to say, because the witnesses saw a police blonde driving.
No, I wasn't police blonde. I had a, yeah, I was too.
Yeah, they saw blonde hair.
Okay. I didn't have much sleep. I've been down in the hallway. My mind is just so bloated.
Well, let's take the time.
Okay. So, my son, I believe, put things on the hand right here. It's like one of tie. You just
like
it up and...
Like a zip tie?
Yeah.
Like a plastic zip
tie? Right.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me draw another one. I'm going to be a good artist before the night's over. Okay, now this is the bank. And here was the dumpster. And this was the alley that went down. And then there was a parking lot down here behind the B&B. That's kind of what that was. And there were some hedges here.
Yeah.
Who was it that was at the hedges that actually grabbed her and then jumped out from behind the dumpster?
Yes, my son.
Okay, so this is really good. In your mind, she was never supposed to end up dead?
No.
Okay. You were just going to scare her?
Well, I'll...
Try to talk some sense into her.
Yeah. Beg her, please let me see, how to tip on anything.
So when they got her into the car, what was she trying to do?
She was, he tied up her hand.
Okay, so Willie zipped her...
Yeah, just zipped her hand.
Did you guys ever take those off of her? Or do you think she still got them on?
Yeah, no, it's kind of nice, but couldn't do anything.
Okay, so he zipped the hands together, and what else happens? I'm sure that she was still struggling.
Mama, we were trying to say, things like, well, there's me a lot, saying stuff like, why won't you give us, kids on the weekends? That's all we're asking for. We're not asking for weeks, we're not asking for 50 shifts, we just want weekends. And I said, Summer, I said, we got something to tell you. I said, Adam, if that's the Taylor, and he's clapping on us, hitting on us, And it happened so quick in my mind, that it's like I was telling her, and I don't know if Tom Willie was I don't know.
Who was in the back seat with her?
It was my son.
Okay. Did he try to put it on her feet or just...
It looked like it was both on her feet and everything else.
Okay. Where's that? It's on the neck? Is that what they used to choke her with?
It wasn't me. My son was in the back. My husband was there. It wasn't me.
It was what?
It wasn't 2 people or something.
Okay. So, she died as a result of what Willie did to her then?
Well, I don't think I know positively he didn't do it on purpose.
Okay.
Because they were like, he was like telling her he loved her and this and that, and the next thing he knew, it was like he blacked out or something because he was like, where's the knife? He wanted his off her neck real quick.
Why did he put that on her neck?
I think he blacked out. I don't know how to explain it, he just blacked out because he looked at me like, oh my God, Mom, where's the knife? And I couldn't find it.
Was she like screaming and yelling and making a long racket?
Well, she was she was screaming and she told me that we'd probably never see this kid again.
No, I never angry anybody, I think. Especially when you think of mine, you already upset with her anyway, and for her to say that. Did you see where we put that on her neck?
No.
Did your husband help him put that on her neck?
No. I know he didn't need to because the look in his eye was like, oh my God, Mom, where's the knife, you know? He panicked. We all panicked then at that time.
And then, at what point did you guys realize that she was not breathing anymore?
He pulled over at St. Helens Church real quick
Okay.
and realized that.
Where do you guys want to go with her?
Just drive around anywhere.
Okay. But at that point, you realized that she was dead, or she just wasn't breathing?
Right there at St. Helens, and we couldn't find him on the officer.
Okay. How did you know how did you guys know to put her back in here, in this area, by the church?
There's a church there, and actually there's a river that goes right behind the church.
Okay. Hey, can you hear me?
I'm not sure we got the exact spot here.
All right, I'm sitting here with her. Maybe she can help guide us. But there's some kind of a cistern or tank or something. She's in it, along with property, purse, money, private keys, everything else. She should be zip tied.
There's another tire track behind the church that back up halfway. And towards the other end of the church, towards Logan, there's a green tank lid that's screwed in it. And there's the septic tank. That is.
Yes, sir, that is it.
Okay.
It's just, my mind is just so unreal, and if it weren't for me, you know, keep on about the kids, we wouldn't have done that. I know it's my fault.
Well, it's all three of you.
It's mainly my fault.
Well, but it took all three of you, too.
I didn't want not to have it bad. And it's all my fault.
We'll do the arraignment tomorrow.
Do me a favor,
Andy, yes.
when you see like in tell I am so sorry.
I
If
will,
I could back up time, I swear to God, I love Summer so much.
I will tell them that. I will do that.
I was just so ashamed, you know? How could someone do that? You know how?
No, I don't know. Because I've never been in that position. Well, let's go ahead and get you on down here and let's get you back down.
I just can't live like this.
Sandra gave up Summer's location. Law enforcement's plan worked. She also said the whole thing was her idea and taking Summer's life was not a part of the plan. I take issue with all of that. I think all three of them cooked up this scheme together, and I don't believe for a minute they just wanted to talk to Summer. I think killing her was exactly what they planned to do. Let's talk about where Summer was found, and then we'll get back to why I believe they planned to take Summer's life all along. Summer was found in the septic tank of the Faith Tabernacle Church in Nelsonville, Ohio. It's about 20 minutes from the bank building in Logan. This is the same church where she met Will while at the picnic. Police believe she was killed within 45 minutes after being abducted, and the Inmans drove to the church and disposed of her body. They had to take 6 long screws out of a steel lid and remove the lid before dumping her head first, like trash, into the tank. A septic tank where human waste accumulates. It's sick and demonic.
Sandra Inman, incarcerated at the Southeastern Ohio Regional Jail, asked to speak with her attorney. Shortly thereafter, revealed the location of Summer Inman's body. It was behind a church just off US 33. She was located in a septic system. The body was in a septic system to the rear of the church. It would appear that she was killed very quickly. that evening, the evening of the crime. The body was very much intact. A number of photographs, her identification was found, along with the identification of her children. The identification we were very comfortable with. Well, the system is accessed. It has a cap over this septic system. I'm guessing 20 inches round, maybe 6 Phillips head screws that would have to be removed, or that were removed in order for us to gain access. How deep the well, I'm not comfortable. I don't know how deep this system is. I will say that I will leave it up to the Athens County coroner to determine a cause of death. I don't feel comfortable responding. Some information indicates that at least at one time they may have been members of this church. I'm not sure of any other connection. Well, I'm hoping we can have closure. I think we need to, keep the Summers family in our prayers and thoughts. It has been very difficult to go with this case and make contact with her family each day, not knowing what has happened to their daughter. So I as well as the family can be doing, I believe they've accepted this.
When police retrieved Summer, she still had her purse over her shoulder. She had dropped her iPod and jacket during the abduction, but her purse was still with her when they took her. Summer was bound with zip ties on her ankles and wrists, and one was placed around her neck. That's what did her in. The zip tie around her neck was so tight it took her life. Now let's talk about why I think this was all planned, and they didn't just grab Summer to supposedly talk some sense into her. Once in the car, most likely Will, or it could have been both Will and Bill, because Sandra was driving, but the zip tie was placed on her neck immediately. You don't need a zip tie on the neck to restrain someone. That zip tie was a murder weapon. That was no accident. Disposing of her at the church, that wasn't some random dump site. I'm sure that was all part of the plan. They had to work hard to get her into the tank. I'm sure they thought she'd never be found there. Sandra was trying to minimize aspects of the crime to save her husband and son, plain and simple. I'll never in a million years believe the plan wasn't to kill Summer from the beginning. The zip tie around her neck and where they disposed of her reeks of a planned out murder. Then they drive up to Cleveland, stop at a car wash to wash away evidence, and trade in the tires. That is consciousness of guilt all day long in my mind. In this next clip, the pastor of Faith Tabernacle Church, where Summer was found, has some interesting comments about the Inmans.
Suspect Bill Inman and his son Willie Inman made 2 jailhouse requests that harken back to ancient religious law. I spoke with their former pastor and friend King Kelly today.
The only time I've ever even heard tell of anything like this is just by reading in the Old Testament.
The jail approved Bill Inman's request for ashes in a sackcloth like this one from Wikipedia. The Free Dictionary says a sackcloth is a rough garment, a symbol of mourning and penance. Willie Inman has asked for a complete set of white garments to wear while praying and fasting. That request hasn't been approved yet.
Bill and Willie, and Sandra, did you feel like they were a good Christian family?
I'll tell you, they was an exceptional family, and as far as that goes, not only this, but they was friends too. So
Pastor Kelly has ministered at Faith Tabernacle Church outside Nelsonville for 40 years. Summer's murder in March has divided that church with those who believe the Inmans and those who don't.
This thing is in the hands of man's law as well as God's law together. So
area neighbors I spoke to today don't buy into the Inmans' religious requests.
I think it's just a farcity. I mean, they knew what they did. Now they're going to turn to God, and it's a little too late, I think.
They didn't seem very religious when they kidnapped that girl, took her out, and dumped her and killed her, and dumped her in that septic tank. Where were their religious beliefs then?
In Logan, Rick Reitzel, NBC4.
I 100% agree. Where were their religious beliefs when they brutally took Summer's life and threw her away? And that pastor made my skin crawl, talking about what great people and friends the Inmans were. You've got to be kidding me. They've been arrested for dumping their daughter-in-law, the mother of their grandchildren, in your septic tank, sir. You may want to reconsider. I just thought those comments were disrespectful to Summer's family and, frankly, gross. Summer's family was finally able to get their beautiful daughter back and lay her to rest on Monday, April 4th, 2011. She was interred at New Fairview Memorial Gardens in Rockbridge, Ohio. Her parents had not only been mourning the horrific loss of their daughter, but also caring for her 3 children. They enlisted the help of therapists to aid Summer's babies in learning to cope with the loss of their mother. Members of the community rallied around Summer's family and raised money to help with the care of Summer's children. So many women suffer as Summer did through DV at the hands of their partners. So many women lose their lives trying to leave. This video is dedicated to all of these women. May you all rest in love. We will be your voice and raise awareness to this epidemic of violence against women.